Group Captain Mitchell, the CO of Base Squadron, Group Captain Wilkinson, an ex-OIC who handed over to me from Support Command, Mr. Len London from Radio Station 2CH in Sydney, to Mr. Frank and Mrs. Joan Doak, the Director of RAAF Public Relations in Canberra, also an ex-OIC of RRB. The Squadron Leader, Wal Pearson, the Radio Officer just passed at RAAF Radio Butterworth. Welcome to Wal. And to all the members, their loves and their friends, we do wish you a very happy evening joining us in our joy of being 21. And we have telegrams from quite a few places and a couple of cards dedicated to all the staff at RRB from the People Who Cares, the Sweet Gang, Miss P. Lau from Penang. Best wishes and do keep up the good work always. To Trevor, Libby and the rest of the staff of RRB, congratulations to RRB on the occasion of 21 years of fantastic broadcasting, and keep those music rocking on the air from another 21 years. So happy for you all from Indran in Penang. Congratulatory felicitations and salutations on the occasion of your 21st from Mal and Bruce Pritchard. From Tiny Acorns, Massive Oak Trees Grow, or something like that, congratulations from Anne and Dave Spouse. Best wishes on 21st birthday and for continuing success, give Auntie Doris a special cuddle for us, Denise and Mike Guest. For those of you who don't know, Mike is now the CO of Adelaide Support Unit. Congratulations on 21 years of broadcasting with best wishes for the future from Bob Lish. Congratulations, we look forward to another 21 years association, even if they have to wheel us before the microphone, from Bob Hudson, Judy Beresford and Helen Neve and Bruce Webber of the ABC in Sydney. Many thanks for your invitation to attend the RRB 21st celebration. This is from Wing Commander John Connell at Operation Command, another ex-OIC of RRB. Unfortunately, due to other service commitments, regret I'm unable to accept your kind invitation, accept my best wishes for the success of your function. Group Captain Stuart Mitchell was a flying officer OIC back in 1959 and early 1960. He left the base just a month before the station opened, and he wrote, "Sorry, unable to attend, best wishes to all at the function on August the 1st. He's now the Defence Advisor in Papua New Guinea. Wing Commander John Pritchard is now practising law in Sydney. He wrote, "Many happy returns, sorry unable to be with you. Have a great time at the Rasa, Sayang." Wing Commander Terry Perry was OIC from October 72 to September 74. Very many thanks for the invite. Would love to be coming to Penang on there at this occasion. Many happy returns for the 21st. Squadron Leader BJ Ellis at Support Command. Many happy returns RRB. I could do with a fortnight in Penang. Regret unable to get away. Have a great night. We had a phone call from Singapore from Lieutenant Roger Foley, Royal New Zealand Navy. He's the PRO in Singapore for the New Zealanders. He's the OIC of the New Zealand Forces Radio in Singapore. It's going to open up shortly. Best wishes for a happy 21st. Wish we could be with you.
Actually, we had a card from Tony Fogarty as well, wishing us a happy birthday for our 21st, and told us have a good time, but I let it work.
Well, you're tuned to RAAF Radio Butterworth, the voice of the Royal Australian Air Force in Malaysia, where the time is a little bit after 8 o'clock.
Happy birthday, double R.B. Happy birthday to you.
And again!
I'm now going to call on Auntie Doris to cut the cake.
Before beginning, what I really will assure you is a short address. I'd like to thank the Executive Committee and the staff for inviting us to what promises to be a great night tonight. Particularly Trevor Parker and the Social Committee, because of all the obvious hard work that's gone into tonight. Although I said my speech will be short, nevertheless I think it would be very wrong to let the 21st anniversary of RAAF go forward without some sort of verbal recognition of the occasion. And to do this adequately, I'll have to go briefly back to the humble origins. The first committee was formed in January 1960, of which Mrs. Fleming was a member. In May of the same year, the magnificent sum of 1,300 ringgits was given from welfare to the RRB for tapes and recorders. Fortunately, a further grant of 6,900 ringgits was forthcoming, as well as a promise of 25% each from the officers' mess and sergeants' mess for day-to-day running expenses. Eventually, the grand opening, as already has been said, was on 1 August 1960. As some of you may recall, Auntie ABC was held in much higher esteem in those days than she tends to be now, so it was a big occasion when Sir Charles Moses, General Manager of the ABC, visited the fledgling station in September 1962. Not to be outdone, the Australian commercial radio stations got in the act when Station 2UE of Sydney donated 1,000 records shortly thereafter. During 1963, the rapidly maturing station acquired new consoles, hand transmitters, a second studio, and a regular magazine, something the base hasn't been able to do lately. The ABC once again came good with 100 records. 30th of January 69 was a most significant date. That was Amy started work with RRB. 1971 was another important year because Studio A came on the air then, thus making 3 studios, and finally the reorganisation of the station as we know now was completed. And so much for the past. What of the future on the technical side? The big change, which I think you all know, is the new transmitter goes on air, we hope, about 1 September. On the operational side, I understand the present excellent standards of format and program will continue much the same as it is now. But whether past or future, I think special mention must be made of the ready assistance, understanding and cooperation shown by Malaysian broadcasting authorities. By allowing us to broadcast in their country, I think they're granting us a great special privilege, which, let me assure you, is not available in many other countries. And we greatly appreciate this honour. There's no doubt that a radio station is a wonderful asset, not only for the listening pleasure of many, but also the opportunity it gives for the talents and skills of a wide-ranging bunch of professionals, potential professionals, from announcing, scripting, engineering, and so forth, to demonstrate their talents. Personally, myself, I've been fascinated with broadcasting for some time. I've been associated very, very indirectly in many ways. I remember when I was still going to school at the end of World War II, my music teacher insisted that I take my violin and play in the children's hour from 5 to 6. I'm glad to see there's a representative of 2CH here tonight, because 2CH was one of the stations lucky enough to have my talent. I also recall station TUW was another unfortunate one. The interesting bit about my violin performing was that there were two old dears used to run these two children's hours. I think one was called Auntie Agatha and the other was Auntie Edna. You always referred to them as Auntie. And on air they were everybody's idea of a white-headed grandmother, gentle and kind. But God, when you went off air, let me tell you, they had hearts and minds of stormtroopers. It was interesting too, the children's hour stopped at 6 and I had to get on the electric train and go home. It so happened, for those old enough to remember, the pubs also closed at 6. So I used to have a bunch of drunks as travelling companions on the way home. And invariably when they see you with a violin, they say, "Give us a tune." Needless to say, the most popular one by 99% of listening vote was Danny Boy. Anyway, it was either play a tune or wear my violin rather than carry it. So I played a tune, and let me assure you, I played more on electric trains than I ever did on the children's. Also, when I went as a pilot officer to the City of Sydney, Scotland, there was a cadet there, CAF cadet by the name of Bruce Ginshaw, who's gone on to far better times. You may recall he was managing a TV station in Sydney recently, and I believe he was chairman of the Australian Broadcasting Tribunal, ethnic radio to mention but a few. But Bruce was just a part-time cadet for CAF system as it was in those days. His main job was as a cadet announcer for the ABC. He had the very glorious task for 5 minutes of every day reading the stock exchange reports from 6 to 6. And he had a very hard taskmaster, announcer, instructor, who naturally, like everybody associated in those days, was British from the ABC. And Bruce was a rather nervous chap. When he projected himself, he tended to shout, you see, and this announcing instructor said, "Your delivery is terrible," he said. "It reminds me of what Queen Victoria said about one of her prime ministers, Mr. Gladstone. She said, 'Mr. Gladstone speaks to me as if I'm a public meeting.'" Scriptwriters didn't come in for much better. It was a pretty hard school in those days. One of the friends of Bruce Ginshall's told me that he was given the job of having a script for background chit-chat, loose sort of talk. It was not received well by the producer to quote, "Your manuscript is both good and original, but the part that is good is not original, and the part that is original is not good." In later years, a technical friend of mine in the ABC, who I used to have a beer with occasionally in the press club in Canberra, used to tell me some interesting stories about the camera handlers, the prop men, the script man and others that used to do all the work around the ABC studios, and they had their various hates and loves of the odd announcers on TV. James Dibble apparently had the accolade of being a good bloke. Martin Royal was a pain in the neck, as were a few others, and it seemed that the pains in the neck in the announcing world seemed to outdo the good blokes. But at the ABC studios in Sydney, apparently, there was a line of coat-hooks for announcers' coats as they'd come in, and in fact for everybody's coats when they came in. But the announcers, being busy men as they thought, they'd come rushing in, and there hanging along the coat-hooks would be crash helmets and sort of assorted leather jackets, a whole bunch of gear. So they got station administration to put announcers only over all these rather vicious-looking coat-hooks. So one of the cheesed-off technicians wrote alongside it, "Can also be used for coats." Ladies and gentlemen, I believe on this, the 21st anniversary of RRB, a toast is in order, but I think the toast should be more specific than just RRB. I think it should be the staff, the past staff and the present staff. So I would ask all guests, all spouses or otherwise of staff to be upstanding while we make a toast. To the past and present staff of RAAF Radio Butterworth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I now have very great pleasure in introducing to all of you Auntie Doris Fleming.
Ladies and gentlemen, first I must apologise for the British gentleman's behaviour to Mr Grimshaw. I'm sure he didn't mean to be horrid, but I would like to say how honoured and pleased I am to be among you all again. I'll tell you the crafty way they got me on in announcing a programme for radio. Two chaps were in the studio. We were very small in those days. And they said, Mrs Fleming, will you be an announcer on the programme? I said, no, I won't. My voice isn't suitable. I lisp. So they said a little later on, tell us your experiences in the occupation. And so I told them. Didn't say much. When I finished, they taped the conversation. And they said, nothing wrong with your voice. You can be an announcer. I was for 7 years after that. I enjoyed every minute. I took the children on the magic carpet to the land of Let's Pretend every Sunday. I had another programme for single men living in. I had to take it off. I had to take it off. They said it was too sophisticated. For my image at Auntie Doris on Sunday. I was very disappointed. You see, I used to hear all the scandal around the base, and I played an appropriate record every Monday. I didn't give surnames, only Christian names, so nobody really knew, only the participants. I will tell you one story. I don't know whether I should, but I will. I heard two of my pets in the mess talking about the previous night when they had entertained a young lady, wined and dined, and they weren't very successful. So I said they should have tried a glass of Madeira. That went down very well. And I will tell you another incident on the radio. I interviewed children, not often, but the last one was when I was interviewing a little boy of 6 years. He may be here, I don't know. His name was Cecil. He would be because I lived. And I asked him what he was going to do when he grew up. He was going to be a farmer. I said, well, that's nice. Do you know anything about farms? He said, oh, yes. I've milked cows. I said, well, have you? That's very clever. He said, yes, I've milked a bull. After which statement I said nothing. But when he got home, his mother, who was mistress at the RAAF school, didn't like it at all and took him to task. She told him the facts of life. He had a face like an angel anyway, and he looked like and he said it was a cow ball anyway. And to any announcers who think of interviewing children, never let it be live. I can assure you, you'll have a shock as everybody else. But I do want to say how much I enjoy Butterworth. And it is said that home is where the heart is. So you know where mine is, don't you? And thank you very much.